Good evening, everyone. Good
Good
evening.
evening. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, Marie. Come on in there. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am so glad that you're back with us again on Friday. What we're doing is Incarceration to Incorporation, and we are grateful to have two men, two returning citizens that's going to share their story. Now, before we even introduce them, I would like to say something, and I know Marie is as well in our introduction, but what are we and why do we do what we do? Well, number one, we want to change the narrative. What do I mean when I say narrative? There is a narrative out there as it relates to returning citizens that because the recidivist rate is high, we are coming out and going back in. But that is not the story. That is not even true. This show allows the platform for us to tell people we are successful. This platform helps us to let people know that we're not getting out and returning, but that we are strong, finishing strong with our businesses, with our organizations, with our relationships, with our marriages, whatever it is that we are putting our hand and our mind to, we are successful at it. So I just want that to be clear that returning citizens are changing the narrative as it relates to recidivism. And we have some men that are on right now, along with Marie, because Marie, in her whole lifestyle, is changing that narrative. But Marie, before we even go, let's give shouts out to those who give us this opportunity to do what we do.
Yes, I would like to give a big shout out to Mr. Julius Hall for making this platform for us to come on for Incarceration to Incorporate. I really thank you, Mr. Hall, for giving us this opportunity to have this safe space. And then to the brainchild of Incarceration to Incorporate, Mr. AB himself. He is in his absence, but I just thank you. And we're about to start the show, Nico.
All right. So you guys, if you got a chance right now, we gave you a few moments at the beginning, but this is your opportunity to hit that share button. Those of you that are riding with us on Facebook and YouTube, please hit that share button. Let others know that returning citizens have a safe space, not just in a building, but now also on broadcast. We're able to share who we are and what we stand for. So without further ado, we're going to invite our guests. Go ahead. We got Don and we got Norman with us. First, we'll start with you, Don. Tell us who you are and a little bit about your relationship to incarceration. Don't go into your story yet, but just tell us who you are and your relationship to incarceration.
All right. Yeah, my name is Don Newman, and I'm from Savannah, Georgia, and my relationship to incarceration is I've had family members incarcerated. I've been incarcerated for long periods of time, and now I've been free since 2011.
You've been free since 2011. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Now, Mr. Norman Hargrove, can you please tell us your name, introduce yourself, your name, and your relationship to incarceration?
Okay, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Norman Hargrove, and my relation to was that I was in and out of the county jail. I was in prison at some time.
Norman, we are very sorry for the technical difficulties. Norman is he, but Don, just go into further with your story about when you came home. Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Tell us a little bit about when you actually came home from prison.
So when I got out in 2011, it was at the end of doing 70 months straight, and it was actually difficult in a lot of ways, just because there's a lot of stigma and hardships involved. The way society, everybody looks at you. You constantly. I was always concerned with being honest and telling people, where I came from and what I had been through, and that I was incarcerated. So it made it, where I was willing to settle for like any kind of job that I could get. I got a job at like a little pizza joint one time. I would do like landscaping jobs and stuff like that. And, I had goals of, eventually having some kind of good career, but I honestly felt like it might be unattainable unless I started my own business. And so I made a lot of compromises in business by joining partnerships with people who were better off than me, even though they weren't necessarily good business people. And that led me down some bad business deals to where I really got wore down and stressed out, and had like some real emotional and mental collapses. So yeah, it was pretty difficult, honestly. I ended up working for somebody else for a few years. Because enough years had passed that when they did a 3-year background check, they didn't see anything. Even though I told them I had been incarcerated, they didn't ask to go into detail. It was a family-owned business. They gave me a chance, and I worked with them for almost 3 years until recently. A couple of months ago, I realized it was time for me to start my own business, to get
Don is okay. There you go.
That God had blessed me with the ability to have work for myself.
Oh, well, that's so you're working. So you're working for yourself right now, Don?
Yeah, I have my own business.
Very good. So what is your business?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the name of your business?
So I have Dandy Don. It's called Dandy Don LLC. I'm a handyman and a home remodeler, and I do all kinds of home improvements and property maintenance.
Really? So how's I see that you're traveling back from Atlanta. So how's the relationship with your daughter?
Okay, so since I have been released, I was able to get married and have a daughter and start a couple of businesses, and the businesses went under. I ended up getting divorced because it didn't work out with me and my ex-wife. But now my daughter is 8 years old. I go up once a month and have breakfast with her at school. They live in Atlanta. And I had her for most of the summer. I get her for most holidays. She spends a lot of time with me in Savannah, and we have a really good relationship. I'm able to be there for her. It's a bright spot in my life.
Very good. Julius Campbell.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kicking it. I love the way that you are narrating and allowing them to share their stories. So you continue. Right on. Go ahead.
So I watched the video that Julius Campbell sent me, and it touched on a lot of points. Some of the key issues that really helped me out a lot was that I did have a dad who was previously incarcerated, who had been to college and was doing good for himself when I got out. I had, my grandparents and my aunts. They all love me and support me, and a family support system. Even though there was even stigma with them, where I could feel that there was the judgment and they were worried. That's really the guys I was rated with, that they didn't have anywhere safe to go to when they got out.
Right.
A lot of their family was still kind of trapped in that same old lifestyle. So whenever I've started noticing over the last 5 or so years, at least between 5 and 10 years since I got out, they've cut a lot of funding to transitional centers and halfway houses, and I mean they've really limited where these guys can go whenever they come out of prison. So I feel like that's something that I'm kind of passionate about getting involved in the community. But that family support and a company willing to to hire me. It was actually a couple of different people over the years who gave me a chance. That makes such a big difference, and that's why I give guys a chance now. Unfortunately, yeah.
No, go ahead. You said unfortunately you give guys you say you give guys a chance, Don, because I'm gonna.
I might be hitting a dead zone, so I can't really hear everything you're saying right now. I'm sorry.
I was saying you said you give guys a chance because you have your own business right now, right?
Yes, I have my own business. Yeah, and I
right here in
Savannah. I can't find anybody.
Well, I know some people who need a job.
I look for guys to hire. I can't. Okay, send them to me.
I will. I will send them to you because. All right. Well, I know some people who need a job right now, especially guys who come on. Yes, right now. And I can tell you, I'm gonna tell you, some are returning citizens, and then some are not returning citizens. But I know some guys who need work right now.
Marie.
Yes, sir.
Can you let the people know why we're having just some technical difficulties with the guys, that they are actually traveling, what Norman does as he's trying to come in? Let the people know what's going on.
What Norman and Don are both on the road. Norman is a truck driver, and Don is coming back from Atlanta from seeing his daughter. So that's why the technical difficulties are happening right now. And I just thank Don that he is on the road and he's trying to do the interview with us tonight. So go ahead, Julius, and talk to.
And what I want to do, because I want Norman, when he gets out of I believe right now he's in a dead spot, but I want him to be able to share. I know he was a little nervous at first to come on, but what we want every returning citizen to have an opportunity to tell their story, because your story might affect someone differently than my story, just like Don's story might affect someone differently than mine as well. So that's why we invite different men. It doesn't matter what arena, if you will, that you're in, whether it's communications, transportation, food service, construction. We want every returning citizen to have the opportunity to tell their story, because your story may be the very impetus that helps me to get back on track. So while we're waiting, I just want to check. Norman, are you in? So he still must be in one of those spots right now.
Right, he's up in New York, Miko.
Okay, and
oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, Don. Oh, there goes Julius. Okay.
Y'all all right?
Yes, sir, Mr. Hall. You can take it.
Can I throw
Go ahead, Don.
Real quick? So, I went into how life was, after I got out. I did want to briefly touch on, in case there's anyone listening who feels like there's no one that really understands what they've been through. Throughout my life, both of my sides of my family have alcohol and drug problems. My grandpa died from alcoholism. My mom died from self-inflicted gunshot wound because of her mental illness. And so, I dealt with that. But even before all that, I was a victim of physical child abuse and neglect. I was in foster homes and group homes before moving to Georgia to live with my dad's side of the family. And, so I was I didn't feel like I could let any love in. And even though my dad's side of the family started showing it to me, I started turning to looking outside of the house for comfort. And that's how I ended up going to the streets. And I got involved in a lot of delinquent activities and crime at an early age. And then I ended up getting involved in alcohol and drugs. And I compromised a lot, even though there was a part inside of me that I realized now was the Spirit of God whose hand was on me. I still kept on seeking in the streets for happiness and contentment, and I could never find it. And I'm grateful today that I don't have to do that. But I just wanted to throw that out there in case there's anybody listening who feels like you're alone. I've been a victim of all kinds of abuse. I've participated in all kinds of activities that I'm not proud to share with people. But today I don't have to live that way, and I'm truly free, and I am grateful for it. But after I got out, I was on probation and parole for a while. I was on dual, and I remember I didn't have to report for a little bit. And my partner, who I'm with now, we've been together 4 years. I had her take me up to the parole office because I hadn't reported in a while, and I hadn't heard from them in a while. And I told her, I said, "Why don't you take me up there in case they take me to jail? I don't want to leave my car in the parking lot." So I went up there and I went inside and I said, "All right, y'all, here I am." They said, "Who are you?" I thought I was so important. They said, "Who are you?" I gave them my name, my social. They said, "You're not in our system." I was like, "What?" They're like, "Hold on one second. We need to look in another system." And I was like, "Oh man, they're pulling up my warrant. I'm definitely going back now." And so they said, "Yeah, you got off 2 years ago." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
I was off and didn't even know. I was still living in fear because I was so traumatized. They had closed my case early, and I asked them to print that piece of paper out so that I could have it because I needed a documentation. I didn't want to go back. I'm fortunate. I have not been perfect since I've been out. I am not going to say that I have been an absolutely perfect, upstanding citizen since I've been out of prison. However, I have not gone back, and I'm definitely grateful for that. I've been able to reach out for help. I've gotten help in the mental health area. I never got before, but over the last few years, I went and got help when I started taking medication for anxiety and depression and stuff. And if I don't take my medication every day, I end up in a really bad place, So that's something that I deal with, and I like to share with people because there are people who do need mental health help. And I noticed a lot of people that I was incarcerated with who, if they had gotten the right kind of medical assistance that they needed, they probably never would have ended up in prison. But the system would rather just them be locked up and get some money for them instead of actually helping them out. So I'm grateful today that I have a chance to be a functional member of society, and I really appreciate y'all giving me this platform to share my story.
You know what, Don? I really commend you for stating how you went to get help because depression is real.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when you don't have no one to talk to, no one to go to, that's why people reach for the drugs and they reach to do things because they have things that's bottled up inside of them that have not healed. So you take and you act out. And so that's so good. I really commend you that you went to get help.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, let me say something in that respect too, because a lot of people would not have been transparent as it relates to your medication.
Mhm.
That is a taboo subject to a lot of people, but that should not be, especially the way you spoke so confident and also controlled. You know that you need some assistance in an area and you're not afraid to get it, and it helps you to maintain your self-control. So what would you say to someone, because I was incarcerated as myself 26 years, and I met a lot of men who were on medicine, and when they come home, they feel like they don't have to take it, and it's necessary because they feel like it might make them stereotypical to others. What would you say to that returning citizen who was on medication and at this part in their life? Now, granted, there are stages, whether it's faith or your confidence level, that can help wean you off of it. But what would you say to that returning citizen who does not want to take their medicine, but it's necessary?
So, I run into this all the time because I also go to like AA and 12-step groups and stuff like that. So, you get people, they start feeling better or doing better and they don't want to take medication anymore. But I'm not a doctor. So I can't tell someone whether they do or don't need to take medication. What I do is I look at the facts. And whenever I stop taking medication, my life starts to fall apart and unravel. I used to, for a long time, I struggled because I felt like if God's hand was on my life, I didn't need any medication. So it was like I'm either 100% for God or I have to take medication. What I've learned is that I can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard, because even a lot of churches have that. It's misunderstanding, misinformation. They lack the knowledge, and they
Mm-hmm.
think that you're not supposed to take medication if you believe in God. And that's just not true for me, because I have to ask myself every day, how do I want to live? Do I want to have sanity? If I want to have sanity today, then I'm going to pray, I'm going to take my medication, and I'm going to do what I can to help the next person. I
Right.
found that out the hard way, because I tried it, all different kind of variables of taking the medication, not taking the medication. I quit it a few different times, and I was praying and fasting and doing everything I thought I needed to do spiritually, and I still kept encountering the same obstacles. So I just have to do what works for me,
Right.
and I know that my God is not going to hold it against me if it helps me to be a functioning person, you know.
And he won't hold it against you, because that's why medical doctors, people go to school and they go to college and they get the degree and they study. Just like if
That's right.
a person have cancer or something, you can't say don't go to the doctor. You could trust him still, but still,
That's
you
right.
know.
God works miracles through the medical field.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. So I'm just Norman. He's not back on
Can,
Don. So
can
Don,
you
we
hear me?
just going. Oh, I can hear you, Norman.
Okay, I tried something a little different to see if I can get it connected. Can y'all
Okay.
hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Just
All
be
right.
safe out there.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And thank you guys for, even though we had a little bit of technical difficulties, I thank you guys for allowing me to come on. And if we have a little time, I can share some things if we do. If not,
Yes, Norman, we
then
have time. Go ahead. Just tell us who you are and what is your relationship to incarceration. And what is your relationship to incarceration?
my name is Norman Hargrove. I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I I did about 8+ years last time I went to prison, and never really been in any big trouble. Never really got caught for doing anything. And I learned that sometimes you have to accept, your wrongdoing, and stop putting the blame on other people. When you feel like things didn't go the right way for you. And I was listening to Don, and Don touched on a lot of good points about, just people needing help and stuff like that. And when I got to prison and I got to see that a lot of people do need help. A lot of people didn't have the right education and things like that. And that was the case with me. I didn't care enough about education and my future and what I wanted to do with my life. So that was one of the key things that I focused on while I was there. Knowing that I would have all kind of disadvantages getting out, and the stigma, which Don touched on a lot of that, because there is a stigma of being in prison and people don't want to deal with you when you're in that type of situation.
So when you came home, Norman, was it difficult? Tell us, was it difficult? Was it smooth for you? How was it for you?
Um, for me, it was difficult because I had to battle with myself. I had help from family. I had to battle with myself. I say that because the things that I was used to doing financially and doing for myself, I could not do. Um, I didn't have a car. I was catching the bus. It's an ego thing. It's more of a pride thing. And sometimes
Right.
that's the very thing that makes us want to go back to the street and to do things that you know can possibly land us back in jail or in prison. And
Right.
so it was a humbling experience for me, just to be out there and just I had to pray a lot and just say take your time and things will come. And so it's just something that you have to be patient about. But one thing I can say that I learned in prison is that I watched a lot of guys in there, and they have this time, they have 10, 15 years, 20 years, and they get caught up in the same routine. And,
Mhm.
you know, they're doing the same things they have at the time, but time still ticking. So
Right.
then it's time to go home. You don't have anything that, you know, can help you have a leg up. You have to have a leg up when you come out. You have to have some type of advantage, some type of ace in the hole,
Right.
some type of different skill set to help you stand out. Um, and just wanting, I think, just wanting to do the right thing, deciding on wanting to do the right thing, and to be successful is very important as well.
You
So I
know,
put myself in a position. Yes, go ahead, brother.
I like what you say there, because there's Daria. She says that it sounds to her like your healing has come by way of your meditation, and you also definitely ought to share your story, especially with the young people of today. And you said something that stirred me, and I always say this myself. What did you do while you were incarcerated that prepared you for where you are today? That is so important, because if you are not
Yes.
progressively preparing, then when that door opens, you won't be ready. So, what did you do that progressively prepared you for where you are today, Norman?
Uh, I started working on myself. I started just reflecting on the things that I've done, and just my the different, everybody has their own different idiosyncrasy, personality traits, and things like that. I had to be real with myself on a lot of things. So, I had to dig deep inside myself and start working on me. And I said, well, I need to educate myself. So I started to educate myself. I started reading the dictionary, started, writing sentences, and reading every book I can get my hands on. I didn't even care if I was interested in it. I started taking what they did have at each facility as far as college courses, because they do have stuff like that, actually, like apprenticeship programs, college programs, and the like, personal training, barbering, welding, all type of things. You'd be surprised, but it's just like leading the horse to water. Sometimes I'm not going to drink. So I took advantage of a lot of those things. I went to college a couple times. I wanted to learn another language. I said I need to do something that's going to make me stand out. So I learned Spanish. And I learned Spanish. I taught Spanish in a BOP for about 4 years. I helped about 30 people get a job with that. But that was one thing that gave me a leg up when I got out. I didn't have a job, and a friend of mine and his mother own a very well-known clinic in Savannah, and they needed somebody that spoke Spanish to work in their clinic.
Wow.
In the
That's
medical
great.
field, and they gave me a job. They gave me a shot. At first, it was kind of funny, like, you don't speak Spanish, you don't, because I read it and write it. I taught it. Yeah, I taught GED. I taught ESL, English as a second language. I taught beginner French courses. I just did a lot of things to keep myself busy and to stay out of the riffraff of everything that was going on in there, because a lot of people was taking losses, losing their lives, and just not getting nowhere. Just sitting around doing nothing. And not all the guys. It was guys that I know, a lot of guys that have got out of prison and are successful. You know, and another thing too, I think is easier, because sometimes people go to prison and they have money already. So when they get out, they have money. You know what I mean? So a lot of the burden comes with finances a lot of times, and like I said, it's a humbling experience. But that definitely, I know for a fact, what I did for myself helped me. When I got out, and that's what gave me the opportunities I have. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these jobs, they don't even care about that stuff.
No.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
just have to have the opportunity.
yeah, and that's what we got this platform for, Norman, so we can have guys like you to come in and give your testimony, so we can show everybody, all the returning citizens, that it ain't over, that you can go anywhere from where you are. And we're very proud of you. You are the type of testimony. You and Norman, I mean, you and Don. Don started his own business, and this is what we need to show people. Don't worry about what anybody thinks, because it doesn't matter. What anybody thinks is not going to pay your bills. You did all the right things. You educated yourself. You learned the second language. Everything that you were supposed to do, you're doing, and now you are out on the road driving trucks and making a living for your family, and contributing to society. That's what it's all about. Understanding that you might have made a mistake, but how you say it, Julius? You might have started.
We may
Yes,
have all
not
started
us.
out wrong, but we can all finish strong.
That's
Mhm.
correct.
Right.
And I want to say something too for Don and for Norman, because I heard a little bit about what Norman said, but he can qualify it for me if he would like. The struggles. We have to be real about the struggles and difficulties that we face when we come out of prison. All of our realities are not the same. For me, I had stable housing, gainful employment, I had family support and community support. But some people don't have those things. And also, there are moments when we struggle because of rejection, a job, a house. I've told some of you that I was rejected for an apartment 3 times because of my background. So, what I want to ask for myself, but also for our listeners, is how were you able to make it through those struggles? Did you have accountability partners? Was it your faith? What helped you to get through your struggles? Norman, you go first, and then Don, you come behind him.
All right.
Norman, you with us? All right, he must be in one of those spots. So Don, you go ahead.
All right. So I I'm sorry, I was preoccupied listening to you, but I hope I don't hit a dead spot.
No, you okay? We hear you.
Coming through. Can you hear me? Okay, good. So what you were just talking about, before I went into the system, I had been in and out of school. I had abilities and stuff, but I wasn't putting them to any kind of use. And I had been kicked out of school. Like every year, I was getting kicked out of school until I got kicked out of the school system in Chatham County. And then I didn't have a lot of skills. But whenever I went in there, I started doing like what he was talking about. I got an upholstery certification degree for upholstery. I went and got horticulture training. I grew stuff out in the field for the first time. I had never done that before. It felt great to be growing something. I ended up teaching GED and all that kind of stuff. It helped build some confidence in me, so that whenever I did get out and I encountered those difficulties like you were talking about, I still had some kind of confidence that I did have something to contribute somewhere. And that's what he was also saying, is that uh, a lot of jobs don't care if they see that you're willing to work, if they see you're the kind of person that really wants to work and will show up. People would usually give you a chance. So if I want to say something to the person who's coming out, who doesn't have as big of a support system and whatnot, there are some resources available. There's people like you, there's people like me. If they hear this and they're able to reach out and find somebody either in a ministry or something, and just actually ask for help. Say, hey, I'm struggling. I find men all the time that come like in AA and they're like, hey, I just got out. I've only been out, 2 days. I've only been out a couple of months. I kind of grab a hold of them and I start telling them, the things that I have done. You got to keep it really simple when you first come out, because it can be overwhelming to try to make up for lost time. You got to accept that time has passed. You did whatever you did with it. You got to live in the moment, live in the now. And like the biggest thing, I guess, is just ask for help. Be willing to ask for help. Now, the key to that is being able to ask the right people for help, being able to get the right resources. So I don't. There's not a lot else I can say. You got some more specific questions? That's kind of a broad thing, but do you have something else you want to ask?
Well, no, I like what you said, and before I want to make sure we got Tisha Fulton watching all the way from Las Vegas. We got Melvisa Arkeen Robertson watching. Also, good evening to both of you. I appreciate you joining us as well. And I do. You said something that was very powerful. You said, number one, reach out for help. Reach out for help. A lot of us are prideful and we don't want to reach out for that help. But I appreciate your, again, transparency and your humility. And for my, when I came home, I wanted to make sure that I had a circle around me, so that if I was to fall or lean or waver, there will be someone there to help push me or encourage me or motivate me. And it sounds like you had that, but you were also that for other people. For you're telling us about the your AA and in your NA. And we would love to be able to support you there. Come out, share some of our stories with those that you may share your story with as well. But let me ask you this: have you forgotten about those men that you left behind, those bars, or do you
No,
still?
yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I actually keep it. There was a couple of my brothers got out before me, and then some of them came after me, and we formed, such a bond in there, by doing time together, that we keep in touch with each other now. And I have looked up some of the other people from other camps because they moved me around a lot. I had an escape on my record, and so they didn't like keep me in one place. But I did. I was fortunate enough to make some bonds and make some connection with some really good brothers in there, and I think about them frequently. I mean, that you're talking about years of my life, and I know you can relate to this. You can't forget about that, man. I mean, that's gonna stick with you for the rest of your life. It sticks with me every day.
Yeah.
I think about it. There's something I think about, every now and then one of my brothers will reach out to me. They've started their own businesses. One of them's in California, one of them's in Atlanta. I got another one down in Florida. We keep in touch very regularly. So yeah, the answer to that question is I have not forgotten. I don't want to forget, and I'm glad you brought that up because I do think that a lot of people when they get out, they try to shove it in a box and throw it in the closet, and they don't want to remember it anymore. But you have to accept it and embrace that that's who you are. You know.
True. Thank you, Norman. You back with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, and listen, guys, I want you to be careful. Keep focus on the road, but when you
Oh,
talk, I'm glad you're here.
oh yeah.
But
I'm
just
not
be
driving.
careful.
I'm not driving.
Okay, great, great. So Norman, the question that I asked was, what when you struggles came, what was your method of getting through those struggles? Was it friends? You had accountability partners? Was it your faith? Tell us a little bit about that. And then, secondly, have you forgotten about those that you left behind? What are you doing to remember them?
Um, well, I would have to say, just having faith and just going back to what I promised myself and the promises I made to other people, my kids and stuff like that. Which I only had one child when I went to prison, but I always focus back on that when I feel myself kind of going off the deep end a little, or getting ready to go off the deep end, or kind of leaning in the wrong direction. I just kind of think about, I just meditate on things and think about the consequences and just how good and how blessed we've been to be out. And like Don said as well, like I know a lot of people that have been incarcerated with me. I met a lot of people that I didn't know were incarcerated just through conversation, and they're doing well. They're doing good, and you wouldn't even know they were incarcerated. A lot of people don't believe it. If you don't know me, they don't believe I was incarcerated. So that's just one of the things that I keep in the forefront. And when struggles come, you just have to be focused. You just got to be dedicated to something, whatever works for you, whether it's faith, whether it's some type of mantra. I don't care what it is. You have to be dedicated to something, and you got to stick to that. You know.
Great. What now? Let me ask another question to both of you. I talked to you prior to this interview, but Don, I want to remind you, and maybe you can share. You said that you were looking for an opportunity to be a help. You were praying about a purpose as it relates to returning citizens or others. Are you also, Norman, and Don, you start off first and tell us a little bit about reaching out, because the title of today's topic was looking back but reaching forward. So I want you to tell me a little bit about that. What does that mean to you looking back, but then reaching forward? Let me start first because I want you to know, I don't want to ask you a question that you may not be ready for. When I say looking back and reaching forward, like you, I don't want to forget. I don't want to hide my past. A famous American poet once said, he who refuses to learn from history is forced to repeat its mistakes. That was George Santayana. He who refuses to learn from history is forced to repeat its mistakes. Too often we stop looking back. I didn't say continue to look back because you can crash. But if you look back just to help you to get your bearings, then you won't forget where you came from. And that will be the impetus and the motivation behind the methods or the things that you're doing. So when I say looking back and then reaching forward, I've looked back to where I've been. 26 years incarcerated. I lost a lot, but I progressively prepared for who I am today. Reaching forward, my job title is Life Navigator. And what I do is I work with system impact or justice involved youth. And what I try to do is I try to help them navigate the tumultuous path and the culture that we live in today so that they don't go to prison, jail, or what have you. So looking back, but reaching forward, I'm looking for opportunities to help. We have, Marie and myself, we have an organization called OAA Savannah, Offender Alumni Association. And what we do is we provide a safe space for returning citizens to empower, encourage, and educate them. So I've looked back and now I'm reaching forward. What about you, Don? And then you go, Norman.
So, yeah, like you were mentioning, I have been praying recently because I've been wanting to have a little bit deeper connection of knowing that I'm contributing something that everything I've been through in life is going to be able to help somebody else. So, whenever I look back, I don't become weighed down. I look at everything I've been through and that God has used it to help build me up, to make me strong, the person that I am today. And by reaching forward, I'm just looking at living by faith, trusting that God is continuing to take me where I need to go to be of maximum use. So I like it, all of this is basically an answer to prayer that I came in contact with you and I started, um, being able to share my story. Over the last couple of years, there's been a few people who I've come into contact with, and I've been able to start making these connections. But when I reach forward, I just want to be able to help somebody else. And it is a struggle a lot. Norman touched on one of the biggest things that really keeps me going is my faith. There's all, especially starting a new company and there's so much business going, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I have to remember my life is not determined just by my job. Just like my life is not determined by the fact that I've been incarcerated. Like I am a human, I am a child of God first and foremost. All these other things are a part of my life. I don't need to just allow my life to be work. So I've learned how to set some boundaries today so that I'll be able to have time to help other people. Anyway, that's all that I got right now.
Okay, Norman.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I've had a lot of conversations with people. Um, I've given a lot of advice on certain things, and sometimes you don't want to be hard on people and tell them you should be doing this or you should be doing that. You don't want to do that because a lot of times people, like you said earlier, you touched on earlier, everybody has their own way of dealing with things, their coping mechanisms and such. So I just try to encourage people and talk to them about the future. And looking back, I was talking to a friend of mine that was incarcerated, and we was had a conversation, and he asked me a question. He said, "Man, do you ever have problems remembering certain things about prison?" And I said, "Man, yeah, I do all the time. Like sometimes I forget certain things. It's like it's a small thing in my life that happened. like it's so far behind me. But you have to reach out to people. You have to talk to them and encourage them. And I think a lot of ways we do that is by just staying out, doing the right thing. You know, doing things like this platform. That's how you can reach out to people and be a success story to them or be a motivator to them in that way. But I would like to help out. Maybe through volunteer work has been on my mind. It's just we have to work and we have to do things like that. But
Okay. All right, Marie's back with us, and I'm gonna give her a chance to share. But I want to say, Daria says something. She says, "Your past is just like a rearview mirror in a car. You simply glance back at it as a recall for a lesson or to share a story or your testimony." So I agree. I agree with her. We got to remember where we came from. Marie, you have something you want to share?
I just want to say thank you, Don and Norman, for coming on the show and sharing your stories tonight. I'm quite sure it helped a lot of men and women, especially those that have who suffer with depression. Don, thank you for being courageous enough to speak about that, especially with being a man. Men don't speak out like that. So I really, really appreciate you for speaking out, telling your truth. Norman, thank you for the work that you have done. So I didn't know that you knew another language. So thank you for, telling your story. Thank you for doing this for me, because I know I called you at the last minute to ask you to do the show. So I really, really, really
it's
appreciate
all
it.
good. Yeah. And can I say one more thing before y'all go?
Well, you
Yeah.
got more than you got one more thing. We got 15 minutes, and what I want you to do, you can weave it into what I'm finna ask you. We have
Okay.
the audience that we're listening to we have men that are incarcerated. We have the radio station in Jessup. We have returning citizens that have come home. They're listening, and then we got the community, relatives and resources of returning citizens. I want you to share. You can share with whoever you choose to, whether it's those that are remaining on the inside, waiting to get out, those that are out now and that are struggling and need that encouragement, or the community to help them to realize that we must open our hands to help. I want both of you, you, Norman, and you also, Don. This is your moment to encourage people. So we'll start with you, Norman, and then Don, you take it up. Norman, encourage those that are listening.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. That you asked that question because that's what I was going to touch on. I just want to say that that I think the saddest thing or the 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 most unfortunate thing for me that I experienced in all of that is that I met a lot of good people, great people, talking about beautiful people that are never going to get another chance at being in society. And I think that hurt me the most. I think that hurt me uh, when I left, just knowing that I would never see any of those guys again, and just that they're not coming home. It's a sad thing. I'm getting all choked up about it, but there's a lot of good people in prison, and they don't get the opportunity. Some of them had a raw deal. Some of them got railroaded. Some of them just didn't have, and I'm talking about intelligent people, so smart, didn't have exposure to certain things as far as arts and opportunities, and didn't know themselves, and they found themselves. And I just want to tell people, man, just if you see somebody about to falter, man, just try to grab them and talk to them and try to pull them in, man, because you can make a mistake in a minute that'll cost you the rest of your life, and sometimes you're not fortunate. So I'm thankful.
Okay. Norman? Don?
Yes, sir.
Is Don with us or he done hit a hot spot? You with us, Don? I believe he has hit one of those spots. So while we're trying to get him back in, I want to say, I love what Norman just said, even the emotional intensity behind what he just said. It almost wanted to choke me up because he remembers. There are a lot of my friends, my family, that I too remember behind the walls. And I'm still in contact with a lot of them and trying to prepare a way for many when they come out. Definitely to give them a platform like you, Marie, right now that we have been afforded to give them. So I just want to encourage my brothers and my sisters, don't give up. Continue to progressively prepare so when the door does open, you will be able to move right on. For those returning citizens that are struggling, listen to the stories. Go back and we have some series back in the back. Go back and replay them and hear the stories of the men and women that we have brought before you. They too struggled when they first came home. They too had a difficulty. But listen, they are doing it. So we got Don back. Don, you back with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. I need you right
So
now to encourage, right now, encourage an audience, be it those that are still behind the bars or those that have come home and are struggling, or the community that's not reaching out to embrace them. This is your hour to encourage.
all right. Yeah, I just want to say hello to everyone out there who is listening to this. Whether you're catching it live or you are playing it after the fact, I just want to let you know that there are plenty of people out here that love you and care about you and only want to see you succeed. It took me a long time to be willing to accept that, even from my own family, that they just wanted me to be happy. And there are plenty of people like that out here. People that you don't know, total strangers, would do anything they can to help you out. So if you're behind bars, you just recently released, you've been out a while and you're struggling, I just want you to know that there are people on your side, and to keep your head up. It is going to be all right. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but I started a couple of companies that failed. And so like I'm living in the moment today. Right now, business is going really good. I know that anything can happen. I do have a better feeling about this company than I have those other ones because I don't have a business partner now to worry about. But I know ultimately it's all in God's hands. I am a person who does believe in God. I don't try to beat people upside the head with God. I just let them know that when I live life without God, it didn't work out so good. Now that I live life with God, my life is phenomenally better. So you just look at the facts. I could just keep on giving words of encouragement on and on and on. I did want to say one other thing before we leave, that I did plan on being at the house during this hour, and I truly apologize to everyone who's been dealing with my internet connectivity issues. I know that Norman feels the same way. It's just one of those things. I appreciate y'all being so understanding.
And remember, listen, we're going to get an opportunity to have you back. But before I do that, we got Barbara Arthur. She's with us. How you doing, Barbara? She says to both of you, don't let your past define your future. And Tisha encourages you, as well as Melvis, Arkeem, and others as well. They are rooting you on. If you could see the pom poms, if you will, that's from the girls now. The boys throwing up a fist, but they are rooting each of you, and not just you. Marie and myself and Judy, we all have something in common. We all started out wrong, but look at us now. We are able to finish strong. So I am grateful for that. Julius always say this quote. He says, "A debt is no longer a debt when it has been paid." So for those of you that are listening, recognize that this is your second chance. This is your opportunity to shine. If you feel like you're by yourself, turn on every Friday. You got some guys and some gals listening and sharing their story. You can call Marie, myself, Julius, all of us. So I just want you to know that we are so grateful that you have joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you. The doors are open whenever you want to come back. Share. Please share. Marie, say something one more time before we let them go.
I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I think that we took an educated tonight. we took and encourage. And what we do when we all come together, we empower. And what, as Miko would say, is connecting the dots.
Listen, Daria says, my wife says, listen, gentlemen, you need to go into the schools and share your stories.
Mm-hmm.
And now she is very, very encouraging, but she doesn't know the stipulations that we got to go through. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people say, go and
Yeah.
share your story. And by all means, I encourage you to do that. If an opportunity presents itself for you to share, look for it. As a matter of fact, the organization that I work for, they would love to hear your stories. I work for a deep center. So if you would, I call you, you gentlemen, throughout the weekend to give you the contact information so that you can share your stories. And when you do, they will definitely give you a stipend for doing so. But again, if an opportunity presents itself for you to share, by all means. For you, Don, how do we come to the AA? How do we support you there?
Okay. So just real quick, you can go to the website aa.org and you'll be able to pull up everything, all kinds of information about Alcoholics Anonymous. If you want to you can go to Savannah AA and you'll be able to pull up the meetings in Savannah. There's also an app you can download, or you can contact me. My name is Don Newman. You can find me on Facebook. I'm not hard to find. I got my picture on there. Or they can get in touch with you and you can direct them to me. One other thing, I do want to do a little spot because I'm also a big part of Hello Neighbor. My partner Lisa is the founder of it, and Hello Neighbor Savannah is a nonprofit organization that's involved in community building. And we actually have been in contact with the Deep Center already. So I look forward to talking to you more about that. But we got the events going on around town just to help draw people together. So, but yeah, aa.org.
Okay, tell us about you too. You have on your business? You looking for some help? You want to put that out
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, my name is Don. Again, I run a business called Dandy Don LLC. I do handyman and remodeling work. If you have any experience with any kind of construction or handyman work or home remodeling, I have jobs right now. I could definitely use the help on. If you don't have any experience, but you think you have the ability to learn, I can run you with me for a couple of days and end up training you if need be. I just need some good reliable people who really want to work, so please reach out to me. You can go to you can send me dandydon.sav@gmail.com is my email to the company. You can just email me your information or whatever, and I'll get in touch with you. I also have a Facebook page, Dandy Don Savannah, on Facebook, so you can find me.
Norman, I apologize. Marie, I will give you an opportunity. Norman, you want this platform to say anything about your job, your business?
Yeah, I actually I started a business. It'd be up and running January, hopefully by January 1st. It's a clothing line. It mainly supports people with autism, and we touched on a lot of things earlier about people. And Don, opened up. He was very transparent about not saying autism in his light, but just people needing help in different facets. I met a guy named Marcus Boyd, and he has autism, and he has a tremendous story. He's Grammy nominated. He's a rapper. He's a producer. He's all these things. He didn't start talking until he was 13 years old. And I have a son that one of my sons is autistic, and he was just in his movie playing him as his younger self. We just came out from Atlanta, so I have a clothing line starting for that. It's called Curriculum Clothing and Apparel LLC. Spelled with a K. It'll be out. I'm getting the website worked on now, but it's going to be a lot of things with that, just showing that that you can win. Even though there's some adversity and people don't understand you. There are people out there that want to help you, and you all have touched on that. So I have that coming January.
Awesome, man. I like that. And we're going to have you gentlemen back to give us an update on what's going on. You need us, a platform to share as far as the resources that you have. By all means, give us some bios and some emails and some websites address, and we'll put that out there when we definitely come on the air, and when Marie and I have our OAA Savannah meetings for resources as well. So without that any further ado, Marie, you cool?
I'm cool, Miko.
Right.
I thank y'all again. I think Mr. Hall,
yeah. He's gone. Okay. Gentlemen, we'll see you next time. People, we appreciate you coming every Friday. Share this. Let others know there's a platform for returning citizens, a safe space where we can change the narrative. Until next time, we may have all started out wrong, but we can all finish strong. See you later.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.